it's recording. We're live.
No music?
Oh shoot, I don't know if it'll record with the music. Without the music. Maybe I can... Whatever.
You have to sub it in. Lay it over top. Yeah, that looks good. That's not right.
What?
I'm just making sure that you've got everything in the show. Have fun.
Alright. You have to go away.
I am going away. I'm not.
Alright, take one. I've never done this before. Here we are on board the Rogue Tomato Rolling Bistro, and I wanted to do a little video piece, maybe even a little bit regularly. We'll see what happens, about what we do on board this truck and how we get what we make as a finished product. So I thought today I would take you guys through what we do to roast off our porchetta, our roasts, for a porchetta sandwich. So it starts with this arrangement of things we have here. A little bit of fresh flat leaf parsley, some fresh sage. Actually there's two kinds in here. One's purple and one's just more of a traditional kind of sage. This is French tarragon. It's got a very strong sort of licoricey flavor, and it goes fantastic with pork or chicken, or in particular pork. What else can I say about this? Definitely have to use French tarragon as opposed to the Russian variety, which is also commonly available. It's just got way stronger sort of licoricey anise kind of flavor. This is oregano. It's in flower right now, which is, I think, beautiful. And yeah, I mean, it's oregano. It's in everything. Grows like a weed. You can find it everywhere. This is a little bit of sweet basil. This particular variety is purple. I just think it's pretty. And of course some lemon, a head of garlic. This is fennel seed. Fennel seed? Yeah. Again, a really strong sort of licorice anise kind of flavor. It's a really important flavor to the roast. It's kind of a gotta have it sort of thing. Lots of coarse salt, some cracked black pepper, and then some just some typical, you know, garden variety like cayenne chilies like you'd find anywhere. So all these things get chopped up, and what you end up with is this guy. I don't know if you can see that. So that's all ready to go and season our pork roast, which I'm going to get into right now. Let's clean all this stuff off. Alright, so obviously we're working with meat, and then anytime you're working with a protein, you've got to take good sanitation into consideration all the time. So this is a solution of 200 parts per million bleach to water, which is approximately, I believe it's 1 teaspoon of water to, or bleach to 1 liter of water. You know what? Every kitchen should have one of these. Household kitchen, every kitchen should have one of these. It's the bomb. It is the easiest and fastest way to sanitize your prep surfaces. I happen to be lucky enough here in the truck. I got a great big huge stainless steel surface to work with. At 200 parts per million, bleach is food safe. You can't You know, even if you did, it probably wouldn't taste very good, but even if you did get it into somebody's food, you're not going to hurt them. So that's why we use it on the truck. And it makes it so that we can feed all you fine folks safely. All right, here's the star of the show. I just got back from my Butcher Auto at Ritter's House of Sausage. Fantastic guy. Highly recommend you go and visit his shop because he's got all kinds of incredible stuff in there. And this is the proof is in the pudding right here. So this is a pork loin, center cut. This is what you typically find your pork chops and all that kind of thing cut from. Okay, nice little fat cap on top. We like that. Fat's good. Pork fat is a magic thing. This beast right here, the next cut of meat I'm gonna pull out over here, is a big old pork belly. Wow, that's beautiful. So that, of course, is what you would make your bacon out of and all that stuff. Got a beautiful white fat cap on it. It's going to make that fat drip down inside the roast when we tie it up and roast it. Beautiful. I love it. Alright. So the first step in dealing with these guys is to start with the belly. And we're just going to make sure we don't have any bits of plastic from the bag on it. There we go. We're just going to move down a bit. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this belly and I'm going to start putting pretty deep scores into it. About, you know, a ½ an inch apart, going one direction. No, take your time. Just like that. And then the same thing, cross-cutting the other way. And again, you can cut, in this piece of meat here, you can cut these score marks pretty deep. I'm going, I don't know, maybe a ¼ inch. It's a big, thick piece of meat, so that you're not really in any danger of going through it, unless you're, I don't know, half barbarian or something. So there you go. That's all scored up and ready to go. So what we have to do now is get this loin here seasoned up, and we're going to take some of this salt I had here earlier. I'm just going to salt the two of them sort of together like that. With pork, you can be pretty liberal with the salt. I mean, you've all had bacon. You know how salt enhances the flavor of pork quite a lot. Don't need to explain that to anybody. So a little bit of salt, and I'm just going to wash my hands now. Washing hands when handling new utensils and whatnot is obviously extremely important. Again, for the same reason that we keep our prep surface really nice and clean, is I don't want to kill anybody. So that said, you know, we're working pretty quick with this stuff. It's not going to be sitting out at room temperature for any real length of time. So just a little bit of salt and pepper on that to start with, and then we're going to take some of our herb mixture. I'm just going to lightly sprinkle that on top of the loin. Give it a little pat, kind of pat it down. It's not really a rub it in kind of a thing. Okay, so now we've got that seasoned up. I'm going to take the belly, flip it over, so now I've got the inside portion of the belly. I've got some salt sitting out over here, that's why I didn't wash my hands. I'm going to just salt the inside of that a little bit. And then we're going to put our loin more or less dead center, lining up end to end. Okay, just like that. That's perfect. I'm going to hit this with a little more of my herbage here. Herbosity. herbaliciousness, makes it herborific, you know, all those good descriptive words. Okay, so now I'm going to roll the whole deal over just like that. And now comes the tying it up part. We got to do something to keep the whole thing together when it's in the oven. And oops, I've got my little ball of butcher's twine here. Now you could tie this two ways. I'm going to do it the pro way, which is using a single piece of string all the way through the whole process. The other way to do is cut individual pieces of string and cut them off as you're tying and just work your way down that way. Usually when I'm tying a roast or something like that, if I'm tying individual strings, rings of string around, it's because I'm worried about the presentation of the roast itself. I want it to look pretty, right? In this case, we're roasting these bad boys off and then we're slicing them up and serving them in sandwiches. So I'm less concerned with it looking pretty, at least in that regard, because I'm not serving it at anybody's dinner table or anything like that. It needs to look good down in my holding oven when you hungry folks are looking for some food. And that's really all I'm concerned with. I don't need it to be too fancy because we're just slicing it up. Okay, so I've got, you can see a 27-mile long piece of string. I'm going to do this as quickly as possible because this is kind of a tedious and arduous process. So all I did was tie my first loop. Now I'm going to slide, I'm going to pull up on this end, and I'm going to slide the string past to where my next loop is going to be to tie my roast together, right? Then all I do is throw this string over, just like that. See? Little tail over there, just holding the two of them together. Just feed that all the way through and give it a good tug. It's a sort of a self-tightening sort of deal, which is why I like it for tying these roasts in particular, because I want this to be nice and tight and you know, held together really well, have a lot of good structure. So same thing, you just keep working your way down. Do this a little faster. Just like that. So, how about that financial collapse? Just kidding! Isn't this fun? Tying it up quick. Pay attention because I'm going to do this about 10 more times. Whoops. Work it under, loop it through, boom, just like that. And one more time. I can see already that I'm going to have to do something here when I'm done tying this roast. This end is too splayed out, right? It's not, so I will cut a separate loop and just tie that tightly on that end. Probably happen on this end too because they don't line up quite exactly. Not all pigs are made equal. So watch what happens now. So I've hit the halfway point, roughly just past the halfway point. So instead of going this way, you just go the other way. Start from the other side. Now we don't have to pull as much string through when you're tying this guy up. Do, 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 do. Oops. Alright, that's about as much as I'm going to get out of that string. So when you're finishing it off, the loop I just made, I just pulled it through. The string that's going up, I pull that underneath and then go through the loop. I don't know, you probably can't see that. And then that makes the knot that's going to hold that together. So when you're working with tying meat and stuff like that too, give yourself more string than less string. It's just string. Doesn't cost very much, and you'll be grateful that you gave yourself more rather than less, because meat is slippery and wet, and it can be difficult to be fussing around with little short tiny bits of string when you're trying to work with something like this. And you'll get frustrated and angry, and you'll start cursing at the pork, and you won't be watching what you're doing, and you go to trim another piece of string off and cut your damn finger off. So don't do that. So just tighten up both my ends. A little separate tie there. All right. Adjust that a little bit. Now I sort of take my... Okay, so here's the deal with pig fat. It's very pliable, right? So you can sort of just, you know, you want your roast to have that nice round shape. Okay. Clean up my string over here. Alright, so back to my herb mixture. Pretty liberally, actually, I'm going to put this on. Now, you're going to ask me, because I know you're already thinking about it, why didn't you herb it up before you tied it? That doesn't make any sense, because all the stuff's going to fall off the side. Well, that's a good observation, except that when you, remember I said pork fat's really pliable, and it's almost like Play-Doh, you can kind of move it around and stuff like that. When you rub it down when it's laying flat, all those cross cuts you just made are closed up, right? And what I want to try and do is get as much of this fennel seed and garlic and salt and pepper into all these little cracks we've just made. So when it's round, when it's tied around something, naturally everything wants to open it up, and it makes it much easier to get all this stuff in there. Plus, round things also roll. So, I mean, you don't have to worry about getting stuff on the sides too much. You can just roll it right into the herb that's fallen on their preparation surface while you're doing the roast. Alright. Yeah, mama, look at that! Woo! Check it. Check it. Check it. Alright. So that is how we get to the porchetta that we serve you folks at lunchtime. What we're going to do with this now, I don't think I'm going to film this bit because it's boring. Well, so what we're going to do now is take this, put it on a large roasting pan, and we're going to do that in the morning. This is actually, sorry, let me back up. There's one more step. I'm going to put this on a large roasting pan in my fridge, and I'm going to let it dry a little bit overnight. So I'm going to put it in the refrigerator but uncovered. So the skin will start to dry a little bit before it goes in the oven. And the effect of that is when I do put it in there, I get that nice crisp shell on the outside of the roast, that nice crisp golden crunchy shell that we're looking for. And so and then she'll go into a 475 degree oven. Yeah, I said 475 degrees Fahrenheit oven for just shy of an hour, about 50 minutes, maybe even up to an hour. And the reason for that is, so this has got a huge fat content, obviously, and you want to render that fat down. And the only way to do that is at really, really, really high temperatures. So you're going to render that fat down. It's going to make that crust golden and crisp. It's all the juices from the belly are going to run down into the loin, and they're going to carry all these flavors down that we've just put on top of the roast in there with them. And yeah, that's just going to make it sexy, sexy, sexy. I can't wait. Actually, I go through this emotional process every time I make one of these, because I think it's just, it's excellence and simplicity at its, almost at its finest. I can't think of something better than this. Well, maybe that's a stretch. I can think of a couple things better, but this is right at the top of the list. Yeah, that's it. So after I'm done roasting it off, I'll maybe do a quick 30-second bit and post it about what the final product looks like. And yeah, piece of chicken grease. So, oh yeah, I think I'm going to call this segment Bistro Prep. You guys let me know what you think of that. And I'm just going to, I don't know, once a month I'm going to throw something up on about what we do. And yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to edit it. I might just put up a completely unedited clip. Okay, peace!